一二三。
We are in La Paz, near Dubai, La Paz Hotel, Croatia. This is a view from hotel, from our room in La Paz Hotel.
And here on the left we have, there are two replicas of these Dubrovnik merchant navy ships. This is Karaka to the left.
哇，这条船用看的吧，照不进去，看了
太近。
对，所以要用看。
We are leaving the park, going to Split.
Beautiful Dubrovnik houses across the bay to the left. We passed another one a second ago to our right, but we're also going to see another one here in front of us coming to the right side as well. All of these beautiful mansions that we have here, they were actually summer homes of the, here, look to the right, this one, yes, and then the next one also here, and then you have a few of them on the other side of the river. So these were all houses of the rich Dubrovnik patrician families, the ones that we talked about yesterday. And when the big earthquake struck Dubrovnik, when it destroyed the entire town, the houses here in this bay were not damaged. The name of the river is Ombla, O-M-B-L-A, Ombla. Technically the bay is actually brackish water. There's about 80% fresh and only about 20% salt. The bridge that we see in front of us, people, in the distance we can already see the archipelago of the Elafiti Islands. So to our left, Elafiti. This is Elafiti translates from a Hellenized word, which is a Greek word, which should mean deer. Deer in the sense of D-E-E-R, so the animal. The sea today in this part of the world come from the Roman part of our history. And I'm going to give you some examples of areas that are still named the way how Romans originally named them. On this strip we are going to see Lake Bled, which is perched underneath the Julian Alps. And Julian Alps were named by nothing else.
So is it possible for Croatian to exit the
Is it possible to exit European Union?
Yeah, if you want to.
Technically it is possible, yes, but it's very expensive to leave European Union. No, I don't think no one is as stupid as British to do something like Brexit.
Right, because you said there's no, if there's no advantage.
There are benefits, but everything comes with a sort of a responsibility. European Union can be great for communities. It will provide good loans to construct. There will be even funds that they would give that you wouldn't have to pay back. They will help with construction of bridges, infrastructural movements. They will provide your country's economy to export the goods and sell them in any other country of European Union without taxes, so they will become more accessible on the market. They will allow freedom of movement contracts, where if you live in Croatia, you can just wake up one morning and go and say, I don't want to live here anymore, I'm gonna move to Berlin. And then you just pack your bags and you move to Berlin and you continue on living there without any permits, without anything, because you don't need any, because you're in the same country, technically. But it depends on the country and how well the country uses and how good of politicians that take care of their people the country has. If 600,000 Croatians left this country in the last 5 years, would we say that this country is doing a good job? I would say that it's doing a crappy job, an awful job. And more Croatians are leaving. And they're leaving because it's easy to leave. Because they can just wake up one morning, pack the stuff, and leave.
No visa,
So
no
under-
working permit, right? They don't need working permit from the other.
They don't need, because it's the same country.
So under communist Yugoslavia,
Yes.
are there a lot of rich and poor?
During
Is
communist
that-
Yugoslavia, were the rich and poor? Technically,
No.
during Yugoslavia, we were technically we were all equal, but there were those who were more equal than others.
Equal than others, yeah.
But don't think that Yugoslavia had communism. Yugoslavia did not have communism.
Isn't it?
Yugoslavia had socialism.
Socialism, that's right.
Those two things are very different from each other.
So you still have a lot of freedom compared to communism.
There's no
communism.
comparison of Yugoslavia and Russia, or Yugoslavia and Poland, or any other communist society.
So it's
From the fact
more-
that you could have private property, that you could enjoy the freedom of religion,
not that.
that you could travel wherever. Yugoslav passport at the time of the existence of Yugoslavia was one of the top 5 passports in the world.
So more
Which
than-
means you could go wherever you want to. And she said how beautiful it is today that you can mention Croatia in a song, because at that time, the song didn't mention Croatia in it. But she said how beautiful it is today when you can mention Croatia in a song, because during and this was actually the border of Dubrovnik Republic. This was also one of the most important salt pans of Dubrovnik Republic. On this side of the walls, this area, they grow oysters. You can see the oysters. You can see them there in the sea.
I heard that Split has the best oyster in the world. Isn't that
Split.
around Split?
These are the best oysters in Croatia. Yes. And on the other town of Neum on the coast, it's a completely new town. Everything here was built in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and all of these are exclusively hot insured. Everyone has,
这里好多 oyster，搞不好
in all of
搞
these
不好雪
countries,
峰他们就在
it
那
is.
个小 island 吃的，他说一个小 island，他们坐船，他们这里都是 oyster，他们自己煮。他们no，他 local
Its course, it enters into Croatia, where it forms this delta. At one point, the main Neretva River divides itself into 21 little Neretvas, as we call them, and they form the biggest above-ground delta on this side of the Adriatic. How the governments are trying to stop people from smoking, yes.
same as in the US.
To a beautiful statistic, at least we locally are very, very fond of, and that one claims that Split is the youngest city of Croatia in development, because that one took off much, much earlier. As a matter of fact, tomorrow when you leave Split, you're going to be traveling through our ugly industrial suburb, in the middle of which sits the vast archaeological site of the place where it all began. It was established, and at both ends of the south wall, the palace walls run over 200 meters, respectively 700 feet in length. That life expectancy for the guys. Due to major winds and the movement of the sun, the palace, like all the buildings on our coast, sits north to south. This portion that I'm outlining was virtually built into the Adriatic Sea. I will take you into a substructural part and then I will elaborate more on that detail. A rectangular layout, strong walls, and 60... hands. But whenever I think back, I don't really remember anybody ever having had any nightmares. The teachers were basically fair. If you deserved it, you got it. Get over it, you know, in that sense. Now you came off the motorway, didn't you? Up here, remember the tunnels? Remember seeing the beautiful fortress? Kliss, Dino told you? Slave city of Marine, Game of Thrones. Then you drove down this slope. This is where the industrial suburb developed. If you remember, in the middle of it, the archaeological site of his birthplace, Salona. You also traveled along a part of this blue line. I'm sure Dino pointed out the visible parts to it. This is our 7.4 kilometers, 4.5 miles long, Roman aqueduct. Built by the Emperor Diocletian to have his palace supplied with running water. Pure limestone. Works on the gravitation principle. It has a very accurate drop of 2% in this entire length. But what's more interesting, it's over here and the room next door, to which I'll take you in a second. Anyways, and then watching seasons 4 and 5, you will see the beautiful Khaleesi going underground in her slave city of Marine, the fortress you just drove by. She goes down a staircase that they built. According to our experts, 2,000 stonemasons were doing the fine cutting. When I say fine cutting, look at the joint, however they did that. But you will understand why they had to when I tell you that in between these blocks there is no fixating element. There is no... You see... When we approach it from the other end, I'll tell you a few more words about it. Another, beg your pardon?
Where's he buried?
He was buried in there.
In there?
Yeah.
Is he still there?
No, that's what I told you. I'll tell you a little bit more about that afterwards. Now, another Roman room sits behind this high wall above your heads, the former vestibule. And if you remember the story on the squatters, according to our experts, these little houses behind you were the very first ones to be built in the palace following his death. So in their foundations, these... Look at him, try to picture the way the palace looked when it was just finished, all beautifully white, sitting at the blue Adriatic shores. And speaking of that white limestone device, what surprised me most, the Japanese tour leader told me that her hometown, Kyoto, reintroduced of course the Japanese beginning of the 10th century wanted the church to introduce Croatian during Mass instead of Latin. It disappeared. Everybody points the finger against the church that they
and the fort. So pretty much there where you have this like industrial zone and the little houses there to the left. And fighting there, they destroyed the old Roman town. Yeah, you know, it was a ruin, no one lived there, so why go and bomb our own towns when we can fight in between to a standstill? And they fought in between to a standstill. You can see a stone wall to the right side, which kind of like looks the fence of these houses, right?
I can see it.
Okay, continue looking to the right.
Reflection.
There it is. That's the original Roman aqueduct
Oh, yeah.
that Diocletian built to bring the water from the foot of this mountain
This is
down
Split.
into Split. Of
Salona.
Dalmatia. You can see in the distance also, if you look beyond these houses, some rocks there piled up in the forest. Those are also the remains of that town. And I'm going to show you in a second from now the remains of the Roman theater. So when the traffic light opens again, in this little forest here to the right side, we are going to see the remains of.
Oh,
And there was also a Roman amphitheater
Salona.
in the town. That one is a bit more difficult to see and notice, but if they manage to cut the grass, we might see the remains of it. Those of you who are on the right side of the coach, it's also a bit higher, so you can you'll probably notice a big rounded stone, huge rounded stone foundations of the Roman amphitheater. And of Chiovo to our left, and that in front of us is Trogir. So it's very easy to go around this town. You can either walk around the island, it's very small, walk around the island, or if you walk from one side to the other, and we are all going to go together, we're going to walk through Trogir to the other
portal that you can visit. On the other side we have the city loggia. It's kind of like a city meeting place where the city men gather to make important decisions. Now we're going to walk along the road further up to the
1、2、3。
有啦，只有几张而已。
我还记不起来。City of Trogir.
of Trogir, down there below us to the right, the island of Chiovo. In the distance you can even see the city of Split further on kind of like 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
The mountains behind Split, the Dinaric Alps, and then on the top of the very top of the mountains is already Bosnia. So very beautiful view.
That's nice.
Ready for
快笑僵了。
可以讲话。哎，二姐，Anna，
太近了啦！No, no, no, coming on, too close.
And I'll be there shortly while I get our tickets.
You can see the whole area of the national park with its lakes. That is the biggest national park, 30,000 hectares, 16 lakes, about 90 waterfalls, and the lakes are separated on lower part, where we have 4 lakes and the biggest waterfall. Then we have this lake, Lake Kozjak, which is in the middle, and then the upper part of the lake. So today together we will visit this lower part of the lake and Lake Kozjak. So through that gate we will go inside and stop on the first.
OK，对对。
赶快，导游已经。
我在这边。已经糟了。上面
没有办法全部哦。
好漂亮啊！1、2、3，漂亮。1、2、3。有没有照 video？ 这好，你有没有照 video？ 照这个鱼。3、1、2、3，1、2、3，好。
等下帮你照。
照一下 video。 走，接着走嘛，我这边就。
我也洗，就是我们上厕所的时候，我洗的，后来我也洗厕所。
没有，我听说你再回去，你就睡。
对，后来我就不上了，一起来洗了，那就在4点多就上了。
Fashionable places in Croatia. You will then have some free time in Opatija to look around, walk along the Lungomare Promenade, which is one of the most famous walkways along the sea in Europe. And afterwards, in the northern part of the Adriatic, is known as the birthplace of Bora. People here in this part of the Adriatic have a saying. They say, Bora is born in... It's actually a very nice, symbolic, romantic explanation of the Bora wind, because as Bora starts here from Seine, blowing down towards the sea, it eventually comes to Rijeka. No, and this is a boy.
Seine.
So there down to the right we can see the fortified town of Seine. In the distance behind the landmass is the Istrian Peninsula. Here above the town of Seine we have the Nehaj Fort. And now when we make the turn around,
City of Seine, S-E-N-G, in Croatia.
is less inhabited, and I would say that it's actually prettier than Krk. Krk is more accessible because it is connected.
Opatija.
And no one was swimming in Opatija until, let's say, early 1900s. Then in the early 1900s, no, we're not gonna go. You can go if you want. But first, to the right, this yellow, this is the city marketplace. Okay? Then in Hotel Continental here to the left, if you want, you can go. You enter into the hotel and you go one floor down. They have a little chocolate museum. They have another entrance to the chocolate museum here to the left on the entrance, where you can actually see the process of how they make the chocolate. They don't charge you to go inside, but they have a shop in which they sell different sorts of chocolates. This is to the left, the park, and in the middle of the park down is the Villa Angelina, which houses Croatian Museum of Tourism. So you can walk along the coast and enter the park and see the park inside. It has a lot of different trees. Ginkgos, the Lungomare Promenade. If you look to the left, they also have the part which they call Croatian Walk of Fame. It will start now, just a little bit further up to the left. where we have the stars of all the famous people.
它是这是欧巴吉亚，就是 OK 看。
Warm-up actually took care, very good care for us. Very good. Okay, so 7 start yes. Yes. So for 7 and 8 we have 94 kilometers. On the 14th of April in 1818, by a local guy called Luka Cic, he discovered the first part.
No flash. That's a pond. Water, right? This is Lake Black, and this is our hotel.
And then after that, we are going to drive towards Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, where eventually we are going to have a local guide, a lady called Katja. Katja is going to do the tour of her hometown, which is going to be about an hour and a half or so. And after that we're going to have free time in Ljubljana for lunch, for sea this morning because it's very foggy. But in the distance to the front of us are the Julian Alps and the highest peak of Slovenia, Mount Triglav. No, the maximum depth of the lake is 97. Maximum length is 7,000 feet, and maximum width is 4,500 feet. Life, her name is Živa. Živa was the daughter of the supreme god of the Slavs, Triglav, which is the name of the mountain overlooking the lake. But when Slavs here in this area converted,
北京饭店。哦，OK，来去那边，这边吃的不吃不下了。 可以换一下。啊哈。
In the Brijuni Islands in Croatia, where he spent mostly his winters. That's near Pula in Istria, so the winters were more mild, and he had pretty much a personal zoo there. When Tito formed the non-Allied movement, Yugoslavia was the most developed of all the countries in the non-Allied movement. Non-Allied movement was created by Yugoslavia, India, Egypt, and Indonesia, and all of these different other countries that joined the non-Allied movement from Africa and Asia, they were given gifts. There wasn't much that they could actually give them to come from Zimbabwe or Kenya. Then of course the one in Belgrade number one. This specific one was his favorite, and we know it because he always said that it was the one with the most.
Where I pick you up to go back to the coach. Okay? So forget this place.
Forget.
Forget it. Because we are having a meeting point to meet to get to the coach.
At what time you pick us up?
I will explain everything in the main square. So even you get all the info immediately. It's in the city center. And Ljubljana, the capital city, in fact, of Slovenia, inspired quite a few other Slovenian cities, to think about what is the city center, what is public space, and what is pedestrian area. So just around the corner from here, you immediately see some of the results of the work, this very ambitious team of the city port.
Ljubljana, Slovenia.
I love it.
Afterwards, when you're in an ice cream parlor, for example, and you just want an ice cream, it's completely normal if someone, like the waiters arrives and just said, what do you want?
Ljubljana. Ljubljana, Slovenia.
Would you like to go on the bridge so you see the view now?
It's a symbolic representation of how, how we all go through life. It's like the rhythm of life, okay?
sausage. How do you call the
萝卜
sausage?
是跟烧饼应该是两种。
Can you bring a plate?
Excuse me, knife and fork. Oh my god. 你没照我吧？
啊？
你没照我吧？
为什么？
因为我刚才讲话什么的。
我还没说是 video。
小费给我。哦，我关起来了。哦，小费，谢谢谢谢。
刚才这边。来这边，你来。OK， 看我。Roasted chestnut.
So it was said that we built a balcony for a princess.
There's a gate at the beginning.
town, and we will go towards capital on the opposite. And we will go towards capital on the opposite. Okay? And then in front you can see this big open space.
Back around 9:90.
Pork and prosciutto.
Here, including Ely. I mean, Mr. Ely was the man who invented espresso. And he was at that time, and his son was also the mayor of Trieste. This is the building of the main building of the university to our right. My wife studied here. It's a very fascist style building from the period of Mussolini. The door is closed, so it's strange. Oh yes, because they open at 11. It's too early. To the park on the left side, we have the monument of Elizabeth of Austria, Sissi. In front of the western railway station of Trieste. Oh, I remember the name of the ice cream shop. Zampoli. Zampoli. So we're now going to make one drive along the main seashore. And then as we continue on driving, we are going to see the Greek Orthodox Church of Trieste. It will be again now on the left side, this building with the two clock towers to the left. And now, when you take a look to the left, you're going to see the biggest European square on the sea, Prince Company building. I'm not sure what this is on the square, but it's awful. Italy, there it is. E-A-T-A-L-Y. But when you pronounce this, Italy, this is how Italians pronounce the name of their country in English. So Italians will call their country Italia, which is on Italian, Italy. But if they So again, we'll have the view of the Riviera. And if you where was I? Yes, Miramare Castle is one of the best preserved castles in Europe today, with the biggest amount of furniture that one castle has. And
Get out of your Wi-Fi. Oh, video. 等一下。这里，
glass of white wine, Soave wine. In Venice, the most famous two drinks well, actually one comes from Venice, the other one comes from Treviso, which is a town close to Venice. The one in Venice is called Bellini. Touchdown.
Going to Venice. Entering Venice. Oh, yes.
What could be done to make it easier? I honestly don't know. Maybe destroy all the bridges in Venice and pave a road, and that will be. There are maps in the hotel, yes. And this is Venice, by the way. So we are entering into Venice, where the bridge that was built by the Austrians in the 19th century, connecting Venice with the mainland to Mestre. The site where we are going is the only site where cars can go into Venice, which is the Tronchetto area, and here. This first part of the trail right side has been upgraded with the 60s and the 70s for mostly working class people in Venice at that time. And this entire canal between the main part of Venice and the island of Giudecca is called the Giudecca Canal, which often in some Bibles they mistakenly say that it was named by some water if you would like here in the lounge area. And there are also several maps of Venice. If someone is missing, you can always ask for a couple of more at the reception. Now it is 10 minutes to 4 o'clock.
就是一吃东西就好这样子的，对，就是游船而已。
taxi 绕一圈而已。
对啊，站起来很危险哦。
应该还好。
没有，看他照片啊。哎，这一边他照你们，其实我应该我来照就好了，你正好把人家后面挡。那我正好挡住我。刚才照的差不多吧。
上当了。 因为你不能往两边看啊，你看这边前面根本没有办法照。
H, LNH io lo, NH io lo.
可是我们这条货船。
没有，已经走到这里了。
那种船跟这个船一样。
还有一个是欧本人啊，哦，那个不是欧本吗？哦，那个是欧本，那也不是，它是应该下雨。OK， 基本应该 Alice， 你们可以看这边。没关系，没关系。
我没有想那么好，因为只有45块，我想不会好到哪里。
这件戏啊。
Yes. Hả?
有些烟不可以用cell phone，对，它有那个 medical equipment。
不，现在可以了，现在的 cell phone 没问题，以前是有限制，现在的没有关系。那不知道这里的。
在这边看上。看一下。有点 nervous。
Right. Well, you're born with it. Right. No, it's just echoing, saying, oh, I see. Studying people. Yes. Yes.
我 wake up call 是6点半。
看好多次，真的。也有这样。
In there, we are not allowed to take picture. We have our design studio in there, so we really need to take care about their work. So there is a copyright to respect. Okay, so please, in the showroom, no more picture. In here, you can do everything you want. Okay. Let me introduce you, Mr. Davide. Buongiorno, Davide. Davide is one of the different class masters that we have. And he's the one that makes the Venetian chandeliers. But since you don't have ours, that they use in order to make even collection pieces, something really, really light and fragile. The temperature, you were not here before, but we are talking about 2,400 Fahrenheit degrees, the temperature inside the fornaces. And you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we do have different fornaces. Remember that the glass in the meanwhile is getting solid, so there are no chances to make mistakes, otherwise we will lose everything.
太监。
Ain't the boy good.
We are going to visit together today. The most important is what we have in Venice. The British Palace. As you probably know, Venice is part of Italy, like Rome, Florence, Milan. But during 1100 years, Venice was one free, independent republic, not part of Italy with its own government. The Paris in our days was the capital of a very good republic. Venetians were very rich merchants. Floor, nowadays here's for exhibitions. There's no furniture inside, but there are the beautiful decorations of the ceilings. We are going to see in the following rooms as well. Through this staircase could pass just the members of the Venetian government. They were the noblemen of the state.
Wie immer am Ende des Krieges verbunden mit seiner eine vereinfachte Form.
This side. Year 1204, Venice and other European princes conquered Constantinople. They brought to Venice the famous four original courses and the basilicas of Mar. By this time we have the Peace of Venice between Pope and Emperor of the year 1177. And that is considered to be one of the biggest canvases in the world. The Paradise by Jacopo Tintoretto. Glass made in Venice, the marble imported by ship from Yugoslavia, Greece, Turkey, and so on. On top of that terrace, the four horses. You see up there the copies of the four very famous ones, brought to Venice the year 1204 after the Fourth Crusade from Constantinople as spoils of war. You can just see the copies because the original ones are...
Enjoy your evening.
Thank you.
This is our hotel in Venice, Hotel Palladio. OK， 你要
真的想站哈，看到那么漂亮。
这是我们的过程也要唱歌。
Moment, signora, moment. Perché sennò da qua. Fagli venire qua, scusi, ma perché sennò mi si
哇，那就叫你上了，我们就上了，
对了，上了几台了，
他有没有说再见呢？
对呀，
什么都没那个，我们怎么办？我还以为他会直接送我们去机场。
不管他不能，一般他要。
Gioca a bordo Luca, l'assistente. Quando i negozi è a bordo, C14, poi di prodotti, C14. Sei marcati in fronte.
would say.
习近平问路，结果他以为他要做，变成我做。
他做也好，省得。
对，因为今天没上来，没上来，他们俩车没上来，他们大概都好走了。
This is Toronto Airport.
那是餐厅嘛？那不是餐